corruption in our nation. Because if we have been able to fight the 14 major groups that had attempted to overthrow, who were armed, corruption is not armed. It is a brain factor, it's institutionalized in some of the areas, and we need to ensure that we address it using those three parameters, and we are focused and clear on that direction.
Yes, soon after that, we have got the Uganda People's Defense Forces Day also. Maybe my colleague will put the question itself. UPDF is celebrating Tarehe Sita in Bugwere district. Maybe my colleague can put a better question.
Yes, Tarehe Sita is just in the corner. Why should the people of Uganda join the army to celebrate this day, this time?
Our gallant forces, the Uganda People's Defense Forces, have been revolutionary forces. They have stood in the defense of this country, laid their lives, and been able to sweat in order to galvanize and to protect our nation. UPDF has been able to guarantee the peace and stability of Uganda. You can see now, as we talk, from the north to the south, east to the west, Uganda is stable. Uganda and under UPDF is now exporting this peace. Our gallant forces and our boots are in Mogadishu, in Somalia. Our gallant forces have been in South Sudan to guarantee the stability of the youngest nation in the world. We have been into Central African Republic pursuing Kony, 2,000 kilometers, who had disturbed this country for 23 years, never to come back again. We're in the DRC Congo. Our gallant forces are pursuing the moribund forces, counter-revolutionary forces of ADF, deep in the jungles of the DRC Congo. We have, therefore, at the same time, got a reason to celebrate our gallant young people. This army has been able to guarantee the stability of our nation. We have a duty to ensure that we walk side by side with our forces.
Interesting, as you give your final comments, sir, you know, agriculture is the backbone of our economy, but is given less in the budget framework according to what we expected. What should the farmers and the people of Uganda expect in this year?
I agree with you. Uganda has got 48% of East and Central Africa's arable land. Our comparative advantage is in agriculture. I want to tell you that Uganda is endowed. We have 5 of the major lakes in the African continent anchored in Uganda. Lake Victoria, Lake Edward, Lake Albert, Lake George, and we have also got many other sub-lakes. These are all in this Uganda. 22% to 23% of our nation is in what you call wetlands. What does it mean? We have now zoned Uganda to 18 agricultural zones. Teso, for example, where I come from, is a fruit growing area. You can grow oranges, mangoes, pineapples, passion, and so on and so forth, including beekeeping. Elgon, the Bugisu sub-region, has got coffee and so on and so forth. Arabica, one of the rare coffee brands in the world. The point I'm trying to tell you is that agriculture has now been able to be manifested under Operation Wealth Creation, Parish Development Model, and many other programs that government has ushered. We now see that agriculture has been able to produce excess of coffee, excess of tea, excess of sugar, excess of beans, excess of cassava. And we now, you can see that even when you look at maize, we are producing excess. We have now enough milk. Uganda as a country does not depend on imported food. We have fresh food. My message to you is that Uganda is enjoying and is enjoying to the rest of the world, ensuring that we now go into value addition in terms of industrialization so that we can produce more for export.
Vice Chairperson NRM in Eastern Uganda, Captain Michael Mukula, highlighting a number of achievements that we have realized as a country, but also as the NRM government and the NRM party and also the people of Uganda. The 38th National Resistance Movement, or AME, NRM/NRA, Liberation, or many call it the Victory Anniversary, was celebrated yesterday, Friday, 26 January 2024. in Jinja, and there was a lot of excitement, especially from that side of Jinja. Coming back to the studios, I would love to start with you, Rose, coming from the Patriotism Secretariat. Make meaning, help us understand how the day went yesterday. What are the key highlights that you can put to the listener, and generally what we have achieved in 38 years? Just first give us the preamble of yesterday's event and how you were able to go through about that.
Today was a great day of celebrating the achievements of the NRM. Where I'm coming from, we are on one of the pillars of the NRM ideology, which is patriotism. Taking the background of Uganda, the youngest nation, we are doing ideological orientation among the youth of Uganda in schools and institutions of higher learning. A nation with ideological disorientation lacks focus. As we celebrated yesterday, it's only during this regime that the able leadership under the NRM enabled ideological development among the youth of Uganda. Where we were yesterday, we were celebrating it in a classroom. Other people were in Jinja. We were at Nile, Chankwanzi, and we are still there doing ideological orientation as a refocus for this nation, because all interventions cannot take root unless people are ideologically oriented. That is what we are doing so far with teachers of Western Uganda and Greater Mubende. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you, Rose. The former LC5, the engineer by profession, Dr. Ian, welcome again on the show. And during your time, we had these celebrations. NRM is not very new to you. We are celebrating 38 years. What does that mean to you?
Well, thank you very much. I wanted to say that this is one of the major opportunities we are having, always to look back and check exactly where we were, what we focused on, and how far have we gone on that journey. I think celebrating 38 years within one unit of movement is a big achievement for Ugandans. You know, those who were not here before this government came into power might not know that only change of power in many cases led to looting property in schools, in shops. Actually, people would take even what they cannot use, because one government has changed. Other people thought that the best way to achieve their wealth in that time was to steal and take other people's properties. And the government wouldn't do much about that, because this was a new government coming into power. Other than that, there were many other challenges. Every time you change a government without going through a normal process, you will find that there are many people who lose their lives in the process, especially where there are coups. And even those who have not lost their lives in the process, they end up dying along the way because people think these were the supporters of the other government which was in power. Fortunately, Uganda has now stabilized for 38 years under a particular well-organized democratic process of getting leadership on chair every after 5 years. And I think this has been because of a well-organized and well-articulated and well-put-in-place constitution. Because, you know, Uganda had some constitution, the 1962. But when the government of President Museveni came into power, it thought that some of the challenges we are facing were because this constitution was not constituted by people together as a unit. Some people actually put up, You know, you remember the pigeon constitution, one man's constitution, in other words. So this constitution has helped us, one, basically to move this government through a process which is constitutional. That's why sometimes even those who don't believe in this government, when they get problems, you hear them running to the constitutional court, implying they believe in the constitution they made themselves. And as we all know, at the time of making this constitution, we are still moving under one team as a movement. People were being voted into the constitutional assembly as on merit. So we found so many people from other parties that time, especially the elderly, those who had the opportunity, the late Semogeres, the late Sevanas, and many others, the Wapakablos and so on. So that is one basic thing, the constitution being constituted by all people's views. And these constitutional review commissions which have been put up of Judge Odochie, Chief Justice Odochie and others have also come into play because they are moving on a background. That is number one. Number two, this government came with 10-point program. And that's very important. Good enough it explained its values in line with the 10-point program. Now, if you have a program, that means you have a vision, you have a direction you want to take. It doesn't matter whether you get a problem, as long as you know you are going to Masaka, you are going to Arua, you are going to Namayingo, you will automatically in one or another get challenges along the way, but you remain focused. And that has helped us. For instance, look at the number of policies we have been getting. The industrialization policy, the national policy on industrialization, the policy on private sector. Today we are here, but I can assure you we have more than 200 radios, media houses in terms of radios, more than 30 media houses in terms of televisions. Don't count the online, which are so many. Now, this is helping to give people information, directing them on issues which they need, educating them, especially those which are serious about changing the people or the lives of our people. So you find that the private sector, when you go into education sector, wow, that's great. When you go into industrialization, wow. When you go into hotel area, you remember Uganda hotels, it was like they were the ones supposed to take over everything, every guest, and so on. But now, there are so many people involved. Now, the economic empowerment of our people, when you look at the pillars at which it is being built, is on one, basically to make sure that at least everyone has an opportunity to work. And that's why the government is very clear. Those who do not have the capacity, and we are surviving in a very awkward situation of poverty, the government is saying, let us put up various programs. And indeed, there have been a number of trials. Of course, we are dealing with a community and a society which takes time sometimes to believe that the government is doing it for them. Some of them believe that it is the government paying them for their votes and so on. But actually, the government is putting this money for their development. But other than that, you find that there are those people who have taken this program seriously. You find someone explaining how the NADS helped them. Other people are explaining. Every day the president is on some talk show or on public interface in line with explaining government programs. Sometimes he helps us to show and put a showcase of those people who have taken over programs like Myoga. Now those in PDM, very soon I think we will start seeing some of them. Of course, there are people who are saying, what is that? What is it about? But no one puts 100 million in a parish and is only playing around. It only comes in when you are failing actually to understand what we are doing. So the 38 years are targeting the people themselves. They are targeting the security and the continuity of our people in line with government. And good enough, look at the democratic process. When you look at the democratic process in Uganda, some people shun it. And I know some people would say, no, what type of democracy are you talking about? You go and touch someone who is going to stand to be a member of parliament. Even if he's a DP, a NOP, or what, that man will fight you if you are fighting them. You go and see how many people are enjoying that is one of the most wanted exercise in this country, the voting period. You find those who want to stand as presidents in Uganda, we no longer have 2, 3, 4. We are going to almost to a dozen people standing as the presidential candidates. And there you go, register, go through the procedure. We have the youth enjoying, we have the ladies joining. And all this shows you that the democratic process, some people might not get the results they want. Because, of course, when we go to a class, I used to be number 1, and there was number 2 in the class. And whenever I became number 2, I would feel so bad. But even the other one who has taken over number 1 had interest to be number 1.
Indeed.
So you cannot wake up and say that all of us will be the presidents in this country. But as long as you understand the procedure of becoming a president, you know the democratic process, and you join it, and you fight and you explain your direction to the people. If they vote you, well and good. If you lose, no problem. I have a scenario to tell. For example, I have no direct interest in attacking any political person, but I want just to use this as an example. Look at NUP. We have the president of NUP now, who had stood as a president of Uganda. But people did not see that in him at that time. But when he stood as a member of parliament, oh, this man was a darling against the NRM. And people saw value in him. And indeed, I think there was value. So you can see that when you sit into the correct seat, no one will remove you. Actually, you will enjoy it. And that's what we're talking about in line with democratic processes going on in Uganda. When you go to security in line with security, like I said earlier, and Captain Mukula, I want to thank him for his presentation. I think it was at the level of a vice chairman of the party. When we talk about security, Uganda suffered. Why are we having 9 presidents in a period where other colleagues are having 4, 3? It is simply because we did not have a stable, well-organized and articulated and a nationalistic force to think about Uganda as a whole, not as a part of the country.
Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you.
Welcome. Professor Wanga, yes, 38 years of NRM, NRA. You've heard from the other speakers, but from UPC and from the opposition, which is also one of the key issues when it comes to democracy. What do you make meaning of this?
Thanks very much, Comrade Amoni, to give me this opportunity, and the other previous speakers commenting on the same subject. I would not like to take it from the angle of opposition or from the angle of UPC. I would like to pick it from the angle of a Ugandan and an African, if you can permit me.
Please.
With your permission, my first appeal as Ugandans and as Africans, we should not opt anywhere anymore for such a costly route which our brothers and sisters took in January 1981 to 86. That route is so costly that to this extent we have not yet fully recovered, much as we are celebrating 38 years. One key element was that we had an election dispute. And normally when you have an election dispute, it is purely a civil court arbitration issue or a dialogue issue. But if you come up with an avenue that you are going to impose a military solution on it, a military solution becomes too costly, becomes so devastating, much as you may have the victory. So my first appeal, any future Ugandan, any future African who loses elections and has election issues, let us go for dialogue, let us go for the courts. That route is very costly. That is one. When you have come out of it and you are celebrating, you cannot be denied the room to celebrate. But at the same time, you realize that along the way, you injured so many people. Because war, especially a civil war, divides a society more than building it. So we are thrown in tatters. And when we are brought to the table to discuss, we are brought on table on their terms, or on terms of the victor, such that UPC, the party I represent, was already in disarray. And as it was already in disarray, what would have brought it nearer again was saying, no, don't over move. And this is Rego Notes number 1 of 1986, which said that our past caused us problems. Now we are putting a full ban, a full suspension on political parties, such that we can have a breathing space to perform other activities. But that suspension or ban means that I cannot consult, I cannot move around, I'm restricted at the headquarters. So it is only one player doing the game. And us, we are behind, we are not in the game. Now, when you are building an ideology which is an embedment for the country, there you will find that there are gaps you have created. Such that you are going to find that the 38 years we are celebrating are also involving addressing very serious gaps which were failing the country to have national cohesion. Yes, we went into CA. We went into constitutional making process. We went into direct presidential elections of 1996. Slightly after there, we went into parliamentary elections. But what was the mode? You find that the mode was personal merit, one-party direction. Of course, petitions went on, and we are happy that the government, through the referendum and through the court order, decided to say, this experiment has not worked. Ugandans have requested for this. Let us give it to them. Our return now to multi-party politics in 2006 elections is a big plus to the ruling party. It is a big plus to all those who struggled to have the elections and to have all those petitions and for the government to listen. But what did it cost us? You will find that a big chunk of Ugandans, they don't know how to operate party politics. And this crisis we are having of ideological disorientation, it is not coming from any other quarters. It is mainly coming from that element that political party activities had been frozen for a long time. I can illustrate it for the listeners to understand it. When we are struggling for independence and our decolonization journey, Uganda National Congress, which was formed in 1952, came out with clear-cut ideas, beliefs, ideologies. DP, which followed in 1954, came out with clear-cut ideas. UPC, which later on was born out of a merger of UNC and UPU, Uganda People's Union, came out with clear-cut objectives. Even the regional KY, which was saying we are going to play local politics, we are going to play regional politics, its objectives were very clear that rally behind the Kabaka. And there is nobody above the Namulondo, above the throne. Those were clearly ideological frameworks, ideological positioning, ideological thinking. And even now when the parliament started moving, it started moving on that model. That is the inheritance of our independence. Multi-party thinking, multi-ideology, as our sister has put it here. That was the bigger picture.
All right.
Now, implementing that bigger picture, it may have had issues along the way, but you perfect them. So, it seems you want me to stop there. So, if you were to allow me to elaborate it on more, by the time now the government said, okay, you have it, have your multipartism, it has enabled now the government and the ruling party to know its weaker areas, which before was not the case. Because before we are flaunting an idea of personal merit. An individual like Mr. Cheyune who stood in Wachiso, he will come with his manifesto.
And people will decide.
And talk whatever he wants to talk. He's not concerned even with his neighbor in Impiji, what is he doing? He's not even concerned with his neighbor in Gomba where he was cut from. He's not concerned because he's pursuing a personal merit. Okay? Whether he pursues it by praising himself that he's the most intelligent, is the most richest, is the most understanding, nobody will accuse him. Okay, because he's pursuing a personal merit. Now, you can imagine how many personal merit constitutions did we have in the entire Uganda. And that is where now you are going to have a confusion. What position did he have on agriculture? What position did his competitor have on agriculture? How do you aggregate those when you are pursuing a personal merit? So I feel, though it is late in the day, going back to multipartism was the best decision. And we can celebrate it when we are celebrating the 38 years of achievement.
All right.
Yes, please.
I'm glad that you have put that right. Rose, building a country we all cherish.
We all cherish should be directed by some principles. We are aiming at socio-economic transformation. To attain that, we should be conscious about our population structure, the youthful Uganda. Captain Mukla highlighted something about placing young leaders. Building a Uganda we needs a lot of emphasis on placement of youthful young leaders, not just because of age, but with the right mindset. Patriotic citizens. Patriotism again is about a good citizen. The ruling government for the last years, to the 38th we celebrated yesterday, has put in place channels to make us enjoy our country. Where I'm coming from, very young then, when NRM comes in place, we were in situation of duka, things unstable. A girl would not walk alone on the road at night. A woman would not lead. Children would not talk when elders are talking. But in a Uganda we cherish, youth have been represented. Elders have been represented. The woman has been emancipated. People are engaged. That is a mindset of engagement. A time of using knowledge as power. Coming from Professor Luanga here. In the 38 years, this is the time we are celebrating knowledge as a power for transformation. More institutions on board. Makerere then, now we are talking about 48 universities. We are talking about many children. As a mother, a grandmother now, it's very hard to find a maid from the countryside. Why? The children are in school. even the little one you get is not completely junk. He will look after your babies, she will look after your babies, but will teach them something good. I think that is a direction into celebrating a Uganda we cherish.
Interesting. Honorable Cheine, you talked about industrialization and privatization, but also Dr. Wanga had concerns about it. We are celebrating over 5,000 operational industries in Uganda in different sectors, but most of these are in agriculture sector. But this has not answered or solved the problem of imports. We're expecting more returns or benefits or profits from these industries, but according to what we are yielding is less, as Uganda still exports our services is 15.78%, whereas the imports have reached up to 25.93%. Why is the problem?
Well, I would like to appreciate Professor, my brother here, of course, and my sister for their input into this cherishing Uganda, because if we are all looking at the development of this nation, actually this president has been making particular statements in many of his addresses, and sometimes we don't look at them keenly. But at one time he was very clear about industrialization, that unless we increase on our production, in our value addition, fighting poverty and other challenges associated with Africa will be a myth. Now, when you are working on a journey, it's not that everything you do it in 1 second. You need a step for every journey. Uganda, like any other part of Africa, should be enjoying the 1.3 billion people, which we believe very soon will be 2 billion, maybe 2050. Now, to do that, we have to start the journey of industrialization. It doesn't mean that as soon as we start, we are cutting off all the importations and so on. You still see how the businessmen and women are actually continuously discussing with government, as government continues to tell them that, look here, we have now our factory here, you must reduce importing goods from abroad. And they are not importing because of anything else. Someone said, I heard that we are soon all putting on the same uniform, simply because the production, our factories do not have enough designs. Now, can that really make us lose our intention of reducing the importation? Our soldiers, gallant soldiers, they are respected, but they are putting on a uniform. Our doctors, highly respected, they are putting on a uniform. Me, when you find me on site, I put on our uniform, our reflectors, and we walk, and we are happy about it. We can easily identify ourselves. But other than talking about that kind of thing, what our people should know is that we should go a step and say, even if right now we are unable to cut down the importation to the level we want, but have we started the journey? That's the most important thing. Look at it from this other angle, the issue of dialogue. Because some of these challenges have been through the political. You know, when we are starting to go into political parties, some of us were not here during the DPUC formulation. We felt that movement was enough. But again, in the wisdom of this old man and the other men he was working with, they said, that time I was teaching in Makerere when they were debating that issue. I was in Chankwan's. So for me, I gave them my position that time. I said, as a lecturer in the university, what I find in these students, they want us to improve on our performance, not parties, because they even don't know them. But at the end of the day, in his wisdom, he said, no. If people want to go into parties, let us allow them, and they go. And then we can also start our party. There is no harm in doing that. Our brother, our elder brother, our father, Abidandi Sali, and the late Kategaya were key people at the front, saying, let us allow people, those who want to go, and those who want to stay. You know, when my brother, Professor, was talking about that time where everybody was not allowed to practice as a party. Fortunately, even a movement, NRM, was not allowed because it had not even been formed. Movement was formed in 2005. So you can see that even national resistance movement was not functioning. Everybody was free. And I know serious people like the late Semogere were in government, the late Savannah Chizito, and many others whom we all know who were in other parties. So, but today, the process of bringing dialogue with other parties which are not in the government, but they are formally formed, is one way of showing you that we are going to cut down on the challenges we have been having. Because every time you form government, the other people go into opposition and the total are fighting even the small good thing you are doing. Not seeing. My view is, and I think it should be the view of all Ugandans, that these policies we put up like a buy Uganda, build Uganda, we must take them seriously. Then the training, or because you have the factories.
Buy Uganda, build Uganda, I must buy because we are in business. I have to buy the best qualities. If you're not producing the best qualities, then you cannot really force me to buy Uganda.
Surprisingly, many of you are saying that this country produces shoes and you wear it in 2 days and it is gone. But people continue to buy it. What I can tell you,
Maybe
Uganda,
it is about the cost.
Uganda in particular, people must learn to love. That's why this issue of patriotism must continue. It's about patriotism. Personally, I buy food from my home street. I buy charcoal from my home street whenever I want. When I'm buying gas, I don't come to Kampala. I go to a gas station in my area. I don't believe that they are giving me the best food in my small restaurant in my area, but I eat there. I live Serena. Only when you invite me here that I can get the opportunity to eat as a Mulangira. But when I go there, we eat. We know that it's not the best, but it is within our
You're supporting
environment.
your own.
Yes. So Ugandans must remember, the people they are refusing to buy products from are the ones who are employing their children. The other people abroad, actually, they are continuously employing their own people and sell to us the produce at even a higher value. My view and my thinking is, if Ugandans can remember that one factory can be a big change in their children's lives by employing them, then they should support it. I'm happy that there are very few people who are fighting industrialization in this country. You find everybody is happy to do that. But they are still saying we are not producing the best. The best way to produce the best, one, we must accept that even the best started with something. Number two, we must put our children to study and learn those courses which will help them to enter those factories and change them. I'm in the construction industry. But when you find me on site, I'm totally a different person. You even take long to know I'm the one. Because I'm similar, I look similar to my own fellow workers. Even I help the porter. That kind of spirit is what we want. You go to a factory, not to steal. Someone goes to a factory, wants to remain in a collar shirt, white collar shirt job in a factory. What are you doing there? So I believe we have the capacity to move, as long as there is this political will, which we have always wanted, a government which wants to buy its own products, a government which is bringing in industries or people for investment, a government which is supporting Ugandans, both private sector and even the few which are working closely with government.
Thank you.
I think it's the best.
Interesting. Dr. Ruanga,
Yes, please.
you've heard from Jaine, but what is your perception on industrialization? Buy Uganda, build Uganda. Even when the quality is not good, be a patriot enough to support your own. But what is also your perception on how best we can really increase on our imports from 15% to reduce from 15% compared to the imports?
Thanks very much, Comrade Amon. Indeed, the production is the best way to do it. And when you are talking about production, you go in areas where you have comparative advantage. And for Uganda's case, our salvation will always be in agriculture. And our basis of development should be increasing agriculture productivity through better farming techniques and through agro-processing industries. We can be a better food basket for much of the Africa. You may push me to talk about the black diamond or the oil money. I don't want that area. Because even before you start selling a liter of oil, the heavy debt you have incurred on your back will not make you enjoy the oil money, because you will be paying back heavily. And yet, if you just said that a tenth of what you have pumped in the oil money, if it was to go for agriculture, by now Uganda would be a paradise, because we have a capacity of producing all assorted types of foods, fruits and vegetables. And agriculture, by and large, captures a majority of our people without issues. You never hear people quarreling that no, the Bagisus have overproduced the Arabic coffee, or the Bachigas have overproduced cabbages or onions. But when it goes to the oil industry, you will hear complaints. Who are those who have been taken for further studies? Who are those who are working in the oil sector? Where is oil? Where is what? There is a lot of talk. And we have even seen countries which have invested in oil and they abandoned their agriculture, like Nigeria, Angola. They have contradictions. So to increase that GDP and to make it more sustainable, our salvation is in agriculture. And with the agriculture, we can improve on it and have various branches of it. Like now, Uganda is so much favored in horticulture. This is the growing of flowers. Have we exhausted that area? Uganda is well endowed in producing honey. Have we exhausted beekeeping? Uganda has one of the best type of fisheries of fish. Have we exhausted that? And remember, the more you invest in agriculture, you are answering prayers of environmental conservation and climatical change.
Doctor, you talked about cooperative advantage.
Yes.
It is already being done in some parts of the country. In eastern Uganda, they're doing so much well in fruits, and most of the industries that deal in that are based in eastern Uganda, whereas in western Uganda, we have most of them being pastoralists, so they're in milk production, and we have had a number of industries also based there. But the progress is still taking baby steps, and we're asking ourselves, how best can we reach the climax or realize the goals that we set in terms of industrialization?
I think this should be listed among the challenges as we celebrate 30-80 years. You don't need even to take me to eastern Uganda. You just need to take me to Owino, that is Valley Kudembe market, and Nakasero market. And you see how our important agricultural products got west. No farmer, no any patriotic citizen would love that environment where a whole basket of bananas, tons of tomatoes go to waste. They go to waste for a simple thing, that between the farmer and the consumer, the value chain which is supposed to be there, it is not there. Okay. And even when you say that Kampala people want to eat fresh products, are they well packaged? Okay, they are not well packaged. In our manifesto of March 1962, when we are campaigning to take over this country, we said we are going to have strategic refrigerated facilities across the country to boost agriculture. Now you can go to Nakasero market, there is no refrigerated facility. I think the new leader market has one. Now we need to be proactive.
All right.
We need to be thinking big. Okay?
Thank you,
Bigger
Doctor.
than the 10-point program.
All right.
And make it more qualitative. That is where I have challenges.
Thank you, Doctor. We are in the second hour of our discussion of UBC Ground Zero, and this is always the rush hour. Our dear listener, in case you want to be part of the program, it is 0776 511 426. 0776 511 426, or you can keep your messages coming through on 0701 24 26 47. Rose, Uganda's image outside seems to be really taking shape and changing time and again from the negative version or perspective of the Idi Amin's and previous regimes. Should this be attributed to the NRM as we celebrate 38 years, or the international relations itself have really changed in times, and the NRM is swimming in calm waters? We have just hosted Non-Allied Movement Summit and G77 plus China, and Uganda is being praised outside. Is it because of the NRM?
Yes, of course. This is attributed to the NRM, first by causing the peaceful atmosphere, which has enabled a lot of things to be done. In our own assessment as Ugandans, we note that spirit of cynicism where majority of the citizens don't want to see anything good out of the sitting government. But somewhere in the Bible, those who read it very well know, they say prophet sometimes is not appreciated in his own village. But here we are. NAM has brought out the light in the information age. You know, you can tell your lies in darkness, but when the visitors came, they saw what is happening in the country. We take the example of leadership and participation. They were all praises, a country where we have leaders, women, the vice president, a woman, prime minister, a woman, a level of democracy. They tasted the food when they were at the hotels in Uganda. They saw the hospitality from the drivers who were taking them around, from the people who were receiving them from the airport, while others were trying to taint Uganda with the wrong image, planting matoke using stones in some potholes around Kampala. The visitors saw the Kampala that is supposed to be, the Uganda that is. The image is changing because of the objective outlook from the information age, despite the people who are caged into their own selfish way of thinking. But this one with time is going to go through ideological studies. Yes, we have talked about Bubu, for example. Buy Uganda, build Uganda. Where I came from, you not eat in the neighbor's home just because they have cooked chicken. Your home was your home. Uganda is our motherland. What we say is not good is ours. We should clap hardest for it. And the image will continue to market Uganda. Character certification should be part of the things we should do to our children in school. Yes, very bright a student, but which character do you possess? So what you are exhibiting when you do these tasks as a Ugandan will market Uganda even more than the PhDs or the knowledge you have. Yes.
Interesting. 776-511-426 is the number you can call and be part of the conversation. Raise your concerns or questions to be addressed by my guests in the studios. UBC Ground Zero.
Papa, Juma from the best roundabout Busega.
Thank you for being part of us.
Thank you too. To me, I think like Museveni has tried. Yeah, he has tried. Sometime when we are putting historical films, how the leadership of this country, Uganda, was, you will find that credit goes to Museveni. When you see militarization of any institution of the government to the public, you'll find that at least he has brought some peace. However, it is not as expected. They have to improve. But now when you look at the duration he has already lasted in power, to me nowadays I may say that there is nothing like added addition of our value. We would have been like, yeah, here we are. I would say this, being partisan, this is what is killing our service deliveries to some rural places. You see, these government officials, when there is a project, let me say they are taking project to Nebi in a certain constituency, and their eye will be to identify who puts in yellow colors. Then those will be the right people to benefit from what the government is planning to the people of that particular rural place.
All right, thank you.
Which is not the point. Let it be, yes, you are now in power. Now use your own effort to serve your people. Don't discriminate. That last time you were putting on the different color of the party. No. For us, what we need, now you have made it, you are through.
Thank you, Juma.
For us, we need service. And maybe I'm on 1 minute.
Please, seconds.
Yeah.
Because time is on my side.
Thank you. Today, we are proud of UBC broadcasting. It has shortening information to reach everywhere. Sometimes when we are being blindfolded by some government official, and those who are lucky who tune into Radio UBC, they will get the truth. So we are proud of your services. Thank you so much, I remain Juma.
Thank you so much, Juma, for being part of this program.
Amin.
98.0 FM UBC Radio. We're also live and clear on Butebo Radio in Eastern Uganda, West Nile, UBC West Nile Radio in West Nile, Magic 100 FM in central parts of this country, and also we're streaming live on YouTube. We just put UBC Radio and you'll be part of the conversation. UBC.
Good morning.
A very good morning to you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Okay, I'm talking to Salma. I'm in Palisa.
In Palisa.
Yeah. Okay, I'm a song at the government of Uganda for celebrating yesterday, but there is only one thing which I've failed, about which us the Ugandans have failed, and that is the corruption. Okay, we have celebrated the 38 years of anniversary of NRM as a party. But the members, let me say, those workers who are working in the government, they are the ones just increasing corruption. Okay, talking of PDM. Yes, they say that PDM, they are made for use. Let me say people who are so strong. But you may find that I may go as that let me go and apply for PDM. At least I start also doing something which I can earn money. You may find that the chiefs, the word, they will tell me that for you first be behind, let the only people be first. I think you have to imagine that these only people, when they get it all again, the government has to give them money. Let me talk of placing younger leaders. As the captain said, yes, there is a placing of younger leaders, but how are we going to play? You may say that, okay, the child of the
last captain, one on that.
You may say that the child of the captain is the one they are saying that they are placing younger youth. Now we keep placing, instead of coming to pass and you look at the last village in pass, you bring the youth from there, you come and place the son of Museveni, the son of the captain. I salute you very much.
Thank you so much, and greetings to the people of Palisa. 98.0 FM UBC Radio. UBC.
Good morning.
A very good morning to you. Your name, please?
They are talking to Jasper Chiburi.
Again?
They are talking to Jasper from Chiburi.
All right.
Me, I don't have anything to talk about. Too much. I'm going straight away to our brother Captain Mike Mukula. Because talk is well and right, but our government is strong and still, but there is some group of people not far away of how my sister is talking, because government try to give us each and everything down here. We use people, but there is some group of people, they just come from nowhere. You go there, you got elder, the name is there already.
Okay.
So my request is to Captain Mukula, let Captain help us, we younger men, to achieve our government.
Thank you.
Our generation.
Thank you so much.
Secondly,
In seconds,
hello?
please. Yes.
I want Mike Mukula to tell me something about me. Since NRA, Bush war, I lost my father, but I tried in all possible means. Up to now, I'm not yet see anything. He told me the name is not there. Let Captain Mike Mukula help me.
Okay. Thank you so much, the people of Uganda, for raising such concerns, and I believe they're going to be addressed in this program. Someone says, well, you bring me back to listening to UBC. Non-allied movement was a raw deal to Ugandans. How did the villager from Bigamugu benefit? Was it a Kampala event or a Uganda? Wanyaka Samuel. Also, someone says, as long as we still have poverty affecting the people of Uganda, even if we celebrate 50 years, when people still lack what to eat, we shall not have achieved anything. Michael Minguni. All right. Keep your messages coming through on 0701 24 26 47. I'll be reading one by one. Allow me get back to the studios of UBC to answer those questions. I will start with you, Engineer Ian Cheyune. You've heard from the people of Uganda, but also the last person who sent in a message, as long as the people of Uganda still sleep on empty stomachs, even if we celebrate how many years, we are going to be changing less on their lives. What is your perception on that, and if you can answer the other queries and questions and concerns from the other callers?
Well, thank you very much. I would like to use this opportunity once again to thank Ugandans who are apportioning their time to listen to such very important discussions. Because I know it takes time, it takes your money to buy the cells in your radios, use your electricity and so on. And most importantly, also taking your own money to call or to send your messages. We are so grateful. It would be disappointing when there is no one trying to show us that there is someone listening to us. I would like to briefly talk about our opportunities and how the government can really benefit from these programs like the recent NAM. Can you believe that the UN Secretary General was able to give accolades to Uganda on something we take lightly? That is the issue of refugees. He said Uganda is a big living example of handling and accepting refugees and giving them opportunities to feel at home. Sometimes when we look at our brothers from Southern Sudan, because those are easier to see because of their heights, it becomes like, why are they here? But I can assure you, it's already a plus for us. Some time back, when we were handling issues of COVID, it looked like the president was always so hard on us. But at the end of the story, or the whole world, WHO and so on, they were all saying Ugandan president has helped Uganda to fight COVID much better than any other. Now, those looking small attributes to this country are the ones which are going to call in those serious developers, those serious people who want to take interest into investment into areas or countries which are welcoming, which are within the moods and the directions of UN, for example. Now, my brother or sister who talked about the issue of national projects being given to NRM, I think there were two people, and another one talked about the placement. It's disappointing. and very disappointing if there is still a Ugandan who thinks that when a project comes to Adjumani, goes to Parisa, it should go to NRM. That's not the policy of NRM. The NRM I know, the NRM I believe in, the NRM that I've seen the president always briefing us about is non-segregative. It gives opportunity to everyone. You can just see it from the way now we have the Minister of Justice is from which party. Why are you hiring to do that? Those are just doing it on their personal level, and they can be handled. They can be handled. If you find such a person, you have the RDC in your area. Go and report. The RDC, I've been an RDC, so I know some of these roles. Go and report the RDC that there is this community development officer is saying unless you are NRM. Because in any case, NRM should be wooing other people in other parties by using these programs. Secondary, when we talk about placement, if there are any people who are using this is part of the constitution. We are not accepting nepotism. That's not acceptable. If someone has all the qualifications, let them go through the normal procedure and get those positions. So there is nowhere NRM as a party is saying, for us we always place our people. If you see anyone doing that for personal interest, please stand up. You are allowed and you'll be heard. There is you know, our people don't know some of these commissions, like the Human Rights Commission. That one can handle that case and say there is this person. If it is the issues of costs and other issues, you go to the IGG. They will help you because our people sometimes don't know that they can help. But when we go to corruption,
last one on that.
Yes, I believe that corruption is not a small game. It's wider than what people think. And the best way to fight it, it should be us. You begin with yourself. I can tell you, if today you went to someone in Wachiso who has been there with me, and you tell them to let us go to Cheyune and give him, corrupt him, I can tell you that man will tell you, you'll find yourself in a big, there was a group of people, not Ugandans, who wanted to do that. I brought my people. You can start it and say you are not corruptible. When you begin, other people will do the same, and at the end of the day, Uganda will be free from corruption.
Thank you.
Putting it to the president alone, when you are doing it under the table, may take long for him to know who is corrupt and who is not.
If I can put it to you, Dr. Rwanga, reports and many other revised lines, the national poverty rate in Uganda, especially by 2019 and 2020, was about 30%, being so close to the international poverty rate of about 42%. And the story has not changed ever since to 2020 up to 2024. What do you think needs to be done that will, as we celebrate 38 years and the children we build the country we want, people will be elevated from one step to another?
Thanks, Comrade Amon, for giving me this opportunity to talk about poverty, which is actually a scaring situation for our country. It is scaring in a way that scientifically, as our friend here is an engineer, they have derived our progress by adding up figures and coming up with statistics, which is academically right. But when you are in a country where you have the smallest party representation from the village, together with the local structure from the village, you may not even necessarily go for the figures. You go for the naked reality. As we are talking today, some regions, like especially in Uganda here and the other places, they are failing to negotiate breakfast, to have breakfast. They are failing to have lunch, and they have now brought supper much earlier to around 5 or 6 because of the experiences we are having that our farming, our key source of income, which is agriculture, we have left it to be driven by the natural conditions. And these natural conditions are rains. When it rains very well, you expect to have a bumper harvest of
Why 1 meal? Why 1 meal? Yet,
Why 1 meal?
You said Uganda is a basket of food.
Yes, it is a
We have
basket,
plenty
but
food.
the infrastructure we have put in, when we have a bumper harvest, we cannot process it to keep it for good days, for the hard times to happen in the future. Our storage is still a problem. And when again we have the opportunities of good rains, we don't produce much as we are supposed to produce. Such that when now there is the season has gone off, you will find even schools struggling to complete a term. They may cut off 2 weeks. But yet we had a bumper harvest which was not well stored. In other words, much as we have the capacity of producing food throughout the year, we are again very casual on keeping it. Our brothers in northern Uganda and part of eastern Uganda, they have these traditional granaries, such that when they have the bumper harvest of maize, of millet, of sorghum, they put it in the traditional granaries. But now look at the bigger picture. Where are our national granaries to keep the maize or cereals? That is where we go wrong. Otherwise, Ugandans would not be having these problems. Even this cassava alone, like the way we have the cassava belt in parts of eastern Uganda, parts of northern Uganda, where they had even put a starch factory, cassava alone can do the magic. Others who come from cattle keeping areas like Teso, they would even tell you that one season you slaughter an animal and then you dry the meat and you put it in the drum. An important visitor comes, you just cut. So areas where we are caught up and the poverty steps in is that whatever we are supposed to do and to do it with the effectiveness, we have some gaps.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes.
Talking about still economic development, Rose, NDP 1, NDP 2, we are now on NDP 3, would help us to understand how we have achieved those national development plans, but also the government promised the people of Uganda that by 2020, Vision 2020, we failed on that, to achieve on that. Then we put Vision 2030, and we're not sure where we're going to make it then up to 2040. We keep on changing goalposts from 2020, 2030. Why is the problem? And how best can we stick on, like for example, the next, which is 2030, and we make sure that we achieve it and the people of Uganda reach the middle income status?
Thank you very much. I go back to what Professor Luanga was talking about. The challenge when we talk about the visions is analyzing issues using figures and other things. Going to the social perspective, I think the government of Uganda is after socio-economic transformation. Those periods put in place, increasing household income, for example, starts with an issue of mindset. Yes, we are having challenges as a country, but the government has put in place steps to help us improve. Let me start with a very humble example where His Excellency tried to demonstrate to the Ugandans on how to have food security in the home. People nicknamed him Bosco that time, and there was a song going around, Bosco, Bosco. But the Bosco issue was simply to show that Nagudi or Apio in Soroti, that if you do drip irrigation, you'll have a supply of vegetables in your home, and you'll not have that one meal that Professor was talking about. Now, without food in your stomach, you will not have energy to produce on a large scale. And if you are not producing on a large scale beyond the stomach, you will not cause socio-economic transformation. Now, it takes us back to the issues of mindset. The change should start from each one of us as a citizen of Uganda. These policies are supposed to guide us move together. What have you done as an individual? Yes, Engineer has said when you talk about corruption in his area, people will know he will not go for it. If you talk about productivity, I'm a public servant. But what have I done as a model in my village in Insasa? So that that person of Umeme who comes to my home says, Mama Rose, I have read your meter or the national water, but can I take an orange? Can I take a mango from my 50 by 50 plot? Now, transformation is supposed to begin with each one of us. He talked about the issue of food security. Without food, we cannot think about progress. He's talking about storage. We are having industrial hubs, 21 industrial hubs right now. And the government has introduced the concept of silos. And they are telling people that if you have a big farm, let this be the starting point to keep your maize.
But are they empowered?
They are empowered, yes. 21 industrial hubs in Uganda. They are empowered. They are giving opportunity to youth to go for a 6-month course and come out with skills, productive skills. But here we are. I have had youth here complaining that the jobs are being given to the very big children. When they advertise, they don't tell you to put your father's name on your application letter, for example. We compete. It would also be selfish to say other people should not get jobs because they are children of big people. We are encouraging the youth that participate in the journey for development. If you don't have the school fees, access these industrial hubs. In Kampala, we have the skilling centers, the 9 skilling centers. One is near to us. We are saying let the youth go there and acquire the skills to be productive. That is what is going to transform Uganda, not the errors and the things put on paper scientifically, which the people of Uganda may not understand.
The last one on this might be economic empowerment and development. Uganda unemployment rate. Dr. Cheine. For 2022, it was about 4.28%. That was a 0.01% decline from 2021. Whereas in 2021, which was the previous year, it was 4.03, contributing to 0.22% decline. We're not taking any progress. Number of people are increasing 4.8% by 2020 and 2030. We're looking at 6.58% of the youth who are the majority in this country.
Well, that's the beauty of mathematics, which a professor was talking about. Every time you are growing into the population grows. It just makes you think that your percentage is very small. Because the population has grown, you continue to rate it at the present population. And that's why you cannot see whether we are moving out of the hole. One day the president, this man, he has been talking about this country, but he's also very cultured. One day he said, this Munyankole, when he's moving down from the big hole, you will not know that he has moved anything, simply because he has not reached the top of the hole. But that doesn't mean that he has not moved. Fellow Ugandans, the issue of fighting poverty is incorporated in many other things other than talking about the government helping. Because the first thing we should know is that fighting poverty is one of the NDP 3 main issues.
Are you not bothered, Honorable, that between 15 to 24
Yes.
of the Uganda's population,
Yes.
which we celebrate that we are the youngest population in the world, are they unemployed? They're actively and currently looking for jobs, but they can't get them.
Automatically, when we talk about improving household incomes, we are talking about employment opportunities coming in. When we talk about selling our country internationally, and I'm happy to note that, Amon, you were the first one to note that Uganda is now working very hard towards its image. And I think those are the areas. Don't just think of employment simply because we have said employment. One day, this president said, I'm not God that I will order this to happen today and it will happen. Like God said, let there be sea, let there be water, and so on. In the same way, issues of employment will take a process. Whether you like, whether in Uganda, America, it is a process. That's why those countries we are talking about, like the Chinese, they are serious about their investments. They are serious about their people who are doing investment. But how do you get investment unless you sell your country properly? That's why we should all open up our hands instead of talking negative things. My sister here was saying planting banana plantation. For me, I took it like they were welcoming our guests. But if it was in the negative form, then why are you putting negative? You are trying to fight your own children or people you want to be the leader tomorrow. Because even if this government is going to go next term of office, then you need these investors to be already here. That's already work done for you. I think those are the things we should be looking at. But other than that, I know that the youth employment is still a challenge, and one of the reasons is the education. Our people who have gone through the university, for example, because we have more than 40 universities now in the country, the first thing they think of is white-collar jobs. The first thing they think of is that they should be employed in offices. I've just told you, when you find me at the site, I'm mixed up with the sand and everything, and you will not see the difference. But our people should also learn that there is an opportunity everywhere as long as you put in effort. Our brother here has been talking about agriculture. You get the knowledge in the school as a social scientist, but your capacity of understanding and articulating issues in agriculture has been totally formed and changed from your grandfather's way of thinking. You know about nutrition, you know about products which are needed in the market. So you don't need to sit and wait until they advertise a social worker for you to become employed.
All right.
And my thinking in general is that Uganda is on the road towards curbing down unemployment, but it cannot deal with total part of it. What we need, private sector should come in.
If we can leave the economic aspects of that, and we use the few minutes that we have remained with to dive into politics of our nation. Dr. Rwanga, rule of law is one of the key that we always talk about when it comes to politics and political performances in the country. No one is above the law. In some instances, we have had some people say that they're above, or some figures would put their actions as if you think they're above the law. As we celebrate and build the country that we all cherish, what should be done to make sure that we really take the rule of law in this country and make sure that we all enjoy it together as citizens of Uganda?
Thanks very much for saying that we can go democratic, we can go human rights, we can go whatsoever. Here, what essentially Uganda needs is to deepen democracy, is to deepen dialogue or discussion, and to really feel that we are equal. Okay? These sort of impediments we get, like a political party wants to hold a rally, wants to hold a meeting, and it is made so bureaucratic, as if the process, you should not manage to overcome it. The process should hold you somewhere. We should try to find a way we minimize. Let us deepen our understanding through iPod, which brings political parties together, those who have representation in parliament. And let us have a dialogue on some of these thorny issues Right now we are having a silent debate which has become open. Unitarism, federalism. Unitarism versus federalism. You will only come to a consensus when such things are given an opportunity to be discussed. Then at the same time...
But how best can we realize that, especially that of iPod, when some political parties are not subscribing to it?
How best we can realize that is that normally a president sets a pace. He's seen as a chief parent. Let him reach out. We have seen these countries which are almost on the brink of collapse, and the president reaches out, and there is a positive reaction. I think we have seen the events in Kenya, the events in Malawi, where they are even saying, no, these elections, we are cancelling them. But since a leader has humbled himself as a servant, it inspires people, okay, let us go for it again. Now here the question you are asking me, rule of law will be more respected if these sort of contestations are reduced. If we go for elections and the violence is not there, good enough our brother here has been in elective politics. When we talk about electoral violence, he's seeing it afresh. Okay. So we need to have a common ground where once we are humbled from top, it just flows down. Okay.
Not so many years ago, Doctor,
yes,
Uganda had a poor human rights track record. As we celebrate 38 years of NRM, how would you rate it?
The human rights record continues and it expands in several areas. Like now, we have the domestic violence. It is increasing because the economy is not putting food on the table. Almost every parent now in the lower category of people is stressed. And because of that stress, is more concerned how best have you used the requirements I have left at home. And at times things cannot be enough. Okay, and the resources are not enough. So you see an element there where there is violence. And once there is that violence, that misunderstanding, it means the bigger picture of human rights, of freedom, it is being curtailed, but from our own families. So the socio-economic transformation needs to cater now for the families.
Okay.
Of course, we have had other issues which now will go more political. Let us try to work closely with the system and put the system at task. You said, yes, if I'm to hold the rally, I inform you. I have come to inform you. Can I hold it tomorrow? Can I hold it the other day? Okay, once we have that working relationship, things would improve. But you find that some of our...
Have things not improved according to the chapter 4 of our Uganda constitution that we all celebrate, that at least we have a working constitution, and in terms of observing the human rights?
Implementing some of these things is not easy. Implementing some of these things is not easy. For instance, let me give you an example. There is an amendment in the constitution which says that all political parties at parliamentary level, when they are going for campaigns during the elections, they will share resources equally. Ever since that amendment was made, it has never been implemented, meaning that weaker political parties cannot reach the entire electorate. Okay, if they cannot meet the entire electorate, then where is the freedom? Okay, so those are some of the issues, so that some of the gaps they should think about. Okay, and you never know. Tomorrow we may be in government. When they are on the veranda, they will still remind us that please implement this equal sharing. Or please, this law which says don't hold the rally until you have talked to us. let us improve on it.
All right.
Yes, let us
Thank you.
be more nationalistic and look at a bigger picture.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Yes.
Rose, the performance of our decentralization units, we created districts, we have increased them in number. I would love to know how they have performed in the past 38 years. And also we have put constituencies and have increased them. You can see the number of MPs that we have in the parliament. But someone would say that according to the performance of our industrialization in decentralization in Uganda is still lacking and not working to meet the goals that we set or the benefits that we expected in them. But we have seen decentralization really work best in our neighborhood, especially in Kenya. The governor can do something and people in that constituency feel it. What has failed here that we can copy or pick a leaf from our neighbors? Rose.
I thank you for your comparative view. But I want you to note that leading is a function of understanding. Decentralization had its intended good points, taking power and resources and their management closer to the people. Yes, you would say maybe we are not meriting as Kenya as what, but the Kenyans have their own challenges and we have our own as a country. In Uganda, we have that mind of trying to paint a rosy picture about our neighbors without knowing the challenges they are also facing as countries. The power of understanding. The powers have been dissolved, taken closer to the people. But how are the people managing this power to solve their own problems? So if we have failed in our decentralized systems, we have failed as individuals to manage the power that has been given to us. It takes us back to mindset. It calls for a mindset shift right now, because failing at those centers means failing as a country. We still have time to evaluate our processes, our systems, and we find out ways of improving on what we do down there. As a resource envelope, Uganda, a very young country, 18% producing and serving the other bigger population of 82%. When the youth are empowered again, they are productive again, they are involved more again, I think the shift, our clock will shift and we shall have better services in the decentralized systems. Then also changing our mindset from vices like corruption. Sometimes what has killed those systems are corruption.
Okay.
So, and it's a choice. Ugandans should desist from the habit of corruption. That's simply rottenness of character, and it's a personal choice to be corrupt. So that has killed it. But if people turn around, there will be a better service delivery in those centers.
Engineer Chaine, in the country we all want, the leaders are somehow divided. Yesterday I was following some of the statements, and Honorable Namgaza yesterday in Jinja said that the people of Eastern Uganda really still love President Museveni, but also the NRM. But the problem that we have, and you some time back in many years, not so many years ago, you also commented about it, leaders who are divided. Do you think this is going to take us anywhere in terms of progress as a country, but also building a country we all cherish? What should be done?
Well, building a country we all cherish is like building a house. You need a block on top of a block. Otherwise, individuals...
When the builders are divided?
Individuals. When you are building a house, you must build a block on top of a block. When you are not doing that, those gaps always create cracks. And at the end of the day, you might not stand strong. I still stand in the same statements I made some 3 years ago, coming to 3 years. But the purpose of building a strong background in terms of government, in terms of a party, is to make sure that we all move in the same direction, even when we don't agree with each other on certain issues. But we must move in a convincing way that when I don't believe in you, you can actually accept me, and at the end of the day, you might need to know exactly what has made me not accept in your direction of moving. Instead of thinking,
what is dividing this you call the builders in the party?
What is dividing them? Sometimes it's about power.
If we don't know the problem, we may not be able to know the medicine.
Sometimes it is about power, and even inside the party, there are elections. So sometimes it's about power, sometimes it's about taking positions, and in some cases it's about failing really to have harmony created through our structures. That's why some time back I said we need to put up a structure that can help bond the challenges that are cracking in, because you can't avoid this. These are individuals with individual interest.
Okay.
And for me, I think that Uganda's development and improvement will depend on a stronger party. Uganda now is developing because movement or NRM has happened to be a stronger party. And the only way to keep it strong is to make sure that we continue to harness the good things we are working on together and also solve those challenges we are facing amicably inside.
Thank you so much, Engineer Ian Cheine. Time is not on our side. I may request you to give your final comments. I thought time would allow us to cover some of the issues affecting the people of Uganda, but also look at some of achievements and how best we can maintain them. I wanted to talk about affirmative action, but time has not really allowed us. I request you, Dr. Rwanga, to give your final comments as we end our conversation this morning.
Thanks very much, Comrade Amon, for moderating this important debate. As we celebrate the 38 years, let us look at the real, genuine issues which led to this sort of situation that one has to leave his house to go to the bush and to start a war. And then, when we celebrate and we forget whatever hardship people went through, you remind me directly with the speech our founding father, Dr. Milton Obote, delivered when Kenya was celebrating its independence. And he reminded them that to forget what the Mau Mau people went through, it would be a betrayal of the struggle, it would be a betrayal of the independence. Now it is up to us to ask ourselves, has the country moved? Have we rebuilt the infrastructure? If you visit the Luwero Triangle, that is the old Mpigi, old Luwero, old Mobende, have we put back the infrastructure? Okay. If we have not, it is still a big challenge. Have we harmonized the relations in the country? Are we friendly? Are we appreciating that, yes, this was the worth venture and these are the fruits? So once we do all of that, then we know that on top of it, Uganda is the winner. But if we leave it in a narrow perspective, then Uganda becomes the loser.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes.
God bless you so much.
Thank you.
Cheine, again, your final comments on this.
Thank you very much. I want to appreciate all those people who have been listening to us since the beginning, and I'm sure they will listen to the next program, because it's always prudent that you continue to pursue the line of the correct information. Well, my thinking is that Uganda is moving in the right direction. All what we need is to bring everybody on board. It's not easy to bring everybody on board, but I can see the green light showing. When I see our brothers trying to say, let us work with you. We are not in NRM, but we can appreciate that we can work with you. That will reduce the squabbles and the internal, the challenges at national level which have been happening, where even where there are positive things have been looked at as negative. And if we move in that direction, I'm so grateful to participate on this program with Professor He has been so informative about areas where we must improve and where he thinks that we should not go back to the bush. I also believe in you, because why should we go back when we have a government which can put a democratic process? So I think Ugandans must bury their hatchets and move towards getting or building a country we all cherish.
Thank you, Dr. Engineer Ian Cheyune. Rose, your parting shots.
I thank you, Moderator UBC, for this program this morning. Mine is an appeal to all Ugandans that we embrace patriotism to have a Uganda we cherish. Let us love, let us serve, let us sacrifice for the good of Uganda. Together we shall enjoy a Uganda we cherish. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome, and this brings us to the end of our conversation and discussion on the UBC Ground Zero today. It was a very big privilege and honor having you, Professor Christopher Lwanga from UPC. It was also a privilege and honor having you, Rose Bisikwa, coming from Patriotism Secretariat.
Thank you.
It was a privilege and honor to have you, Dr. Engineer Honorable Ian Cheyune, on this show.
Thank you very much.
This brings us to the end of our conversation. I really believe that you really picked a leaf from our conversation on UBC Ground Zero. We're live and clear on 4 radio stations: UBC Radio, UBC Butebo in Eastern Uganda, UBC West Nile in West Nile sub-region, and we're also live and clear on another radio station, UBC Magic 100 FM in central parts of this country, and we're streaming live on YouTube. We just visit our YouTube channel. You put UBC Radio and you'll be able to watch my guests and the discussion, and later on we're going to have tomorrow on Sunday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. there is a repeat of UBC Ground Zero. You can make it a point and create time and listen to that edition. Building a country we all want. You've heard from the horse's mouth. I can't really add any word, and I believe that we can really build it together as the people of Uganda, by the leadership of the NRM and all their political parties coming together. That synergy brings us to the development that we all want and cherish. Thank you for being part of us, our dear listener, especially those that called in and sent in your messages. If time allows, next time we are going to have all your opinions and concerns really answered in edition. It was a privilege having you. Until next time, same station. Many other programs are coming your way on those radio stations that I just mentioned. Keep it UBC. We shall keep a promise of inspiring you, the people of Uganda. From me and the team, I'm Baidamon Ortega. Allow me to sign out.
That was Ground Zero Season 2, a production of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. Inspiring Uganda.